CHH is not, I repeat, is not the church. Let's talk about it. Hey, yo, what's going on? My name is Ruslan, hip-hop artist, creative entrepreneur. I run a boutique label called King's Dream Entertainment. You can check us out on kingsdreament.com. And I'm doing this series as of late, breaking down my position, my view, my love and hate relationship with CHH, the CHH community. Some people refer to it as a subgenre. And so that's what we're going to continue talking about on this video. So if you're new to the channel, man, consider subscribing. Make sure you hit that like button, that notification button. Listen, this video is probably going to offend some of you guys. Some of you hardcore CHH fanatics, you guys may not like me, but that's all right, because I think what I'm going to talk about here is very, very, very necessary. So, like I said, Loom Hip Hop a few weeks ago, I guess, called me one of the new OGs of CHH, of Christian rap. I was very flattered by it. And after talking to Belief, a couple of my friends were like, man, you should embrace, you know, making more content, speaking more on that kind of stuff. So I dropped the first video, my love and hate relationship with Christian hip hop. That did amazing. You guys are really engaged. You guys really liked that one. The second video, I went live and I elaborated more on it. And the third one yesterday was actually about cussing in CHH. So that one was also live. I'm experimenting with the YouTube algorithm. Sometimes YouTube likes you to go live, but then the views drop off on the back end. And I tend to be a bit longer winded when I'm live. So I'm trying to record this one and hop in the premiere chat with you guys, chop it up live with you guys. But I'm excited. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. This video, as most of my videos, are actually inspired by you guys or something that's happening externally. And so if you're not following me on Instagram, I kind of ask almost on a daily, like, what do you think today's video should be about? And that's where we get it in. And so the cussing video, the cussing in CHH, was inspired by a question on Instagram. And then that actually sparked a full-on Bible study on profanity and cussing that I did on our Patreon page. So if you are not familiar, you should definitely consider becoming a Patreon. You get to cut the line on our Fan Love Friday streams where we check out and critique artist music. And you also get to hop in on a Sunday night Zoom call with me where we get to chat about life and all kinds of different kind of stuff. So easy, fun way to support what we're doing here. And there's all kinds of other perks that come with it. So let's get into the meat, the nitty gritty, which I came here to see. My man Marcus, he dropped this comment on I think the first or second video I did where I mentioned Toby Ngwigbi sidestepping CHH because of how toxic the community could be sometimes. And my man Marcus said, a couple of thoughts, the points you made about artists like Toby leaving the genre. Toby never left the genre. He was actually just never a part of the genre, even better. Because of the culture that kind of exists amongst the CHH community, makes me wonder, what would he do if he find churches to be problematic? Would he stop going to churches too? These are rhetorical questions, of course, but I just wonder, how does an artist separate himself from a community because of the views, but presumably still fellowship and minister along those same individuals? I think it's hard to separate the two. The people who are giving those responses to artists like him are the same people we go to church with. Not bad, right? So he's saying, how do artists leave themselves from the CHH community or the CHH subgenre, and aren't they doing the same thing? Aren't you leaving the church because it's hard to separate the two? It's actually not. It's not hard to separate the two. You have to understand a few things. One, the CHH community is a community, but it's also a marketplace. It's an audience. It's a demographic of people. And it started out in the urban meccas, if you will, of LA and Philly, and it's since been kind of taken over by CCM as Lecrae exploded, and you had like stuff like the Rock and Roll Worship Tour and Winter Jam, and then the internet, of course, exploded, and so it became more of a suburban, mid-America, Midwest type of thing, which completely switched up the demographics of CHH. And it kind of got a little tough. So it's not that people are leaving the genre per se. Some people are just avoiding it. A guy like Toby Ngwigbi, who I'm a huge fan of. If you don't know who Toby is, you should check him out. He's super dope. He started doing Get Twisted Sundays. That blew up. And he's got like 300,000 Instagram followers. He's touring all over. He's a Christian. He doesn't cuss. He makes super dope music. But he does not participate in the CHH community, even though a lot of CHH artists and fans love Toby. And I think that's a genius move. And what I was saying was, you guys keep being weird and goofy with the way you're interacting with artists. You keep trying to be their accountability partner over DMs. You're going to see more and more artists sidestep the community or leave the community, which I don't think we want if we want to build a dope, cultural, diverse community. So it's not the same. The church is not CHH, and CHH is not the church. The CHH is more of a community that's over the internet. It is local with conferences like, Flavor Fest and, of course, Legacy Conference. There's some crossover there, but they are not synonymous. They're not the same thing. So somebody is trying to intentionally bypass a community. What they're really trying to bypass is the demographic of CHH, which kind of spoils the mix-up and the type of people that are involved in the community. And this is how I will break it down. So let me go back to this and describe what this definition of church actually means. Here's the definition of church. If we're going to talk about church, the word ecclesia is the definition of church. Church is an ecclesia. If you look at the word for ecclesia, it represents the body of Christ worldwide. So the global church, right? The large community of believers worldwide, right? The capital C church. And then it says the expression can refer to people gathering in a given region. So it's the world church. There's a given region. Frequently, it depicted a local congregation of Christians. It could also signify a group of the Lord's people assembled for worship. It was a gathering, a local town hall type gathering where people get together and corporately worship in a local setting. It was not, I repeat, it was not just an internet community. It was not a subgenre of music. It is alive and well. The church is a local community. And I think the issue is, and I'm going to dig a little deep, is a lot of people, you don't go to church. You're not a part of a local church. And then you're trying to, again, use CHH as something that was intended to be a supplement, as a substitute for you actually needing to be in a local church and needing to be in a local godly community to hold you accountable, to help you grow, to disciple you. You're using CHH, which is just a supplement. I talked about that on the other video. It's just a supplement to help you sustain you, and it was never intended to be that way. So the CHH is not a church. It's not the same as leaving the church. I'll tell you what CHH is. It's a beautiful, diverse community, but what it can become is it can become intertwined too much with American evangelicism and politics and churchianity is what I would like to call it. Far right, conservative, hyper religious people that don't understand what is going on culturally and socially. And that's really what we saw happen. Is you saw guys come out of the urban environment and guys that unified black, white, Asian, Mexican under the umbrella of Jesus. And then when there became social issues that started to happen, all of a sudden people from the black and brown community started to speaking up for him, like Black Lives Matter, like the stuff that we were seeing happen with police brutality. We started speaking up for these issues, and they ended up getting ridiculed, and the CHH or the white church community ended up turning their back because they didn't understand what was going on and how to talk about police brutality and all these things. And so I think as a whole, the church is getting better, capital C church. The white church is attempting to get better, and there is a white church, believe me. But I think all in all, we have to remember that CHH is not the church, and the church is not CHH. Is the church a part of CHH? Yes. But is CHH as a whole the church? No, they're different. You have to know that distinguishable feature, and you can't just say, oh, somebody doesn't want to be a part of CHH. That means they're turning their back on the church. That means they're turning their back on the faith. It's not necessarily what it means. Not everybody that wants to sidestep or avoid the branding of being a Christian rapper or Christian hip hop artist or whatever, not every single person is doing it from a place of ill intent. I'll make it look like this. Say we're going to use the parallel of church. We're going to use the metaphor of church. Say you move to a new city. You come from a predominantly black and brown background. You come from a diverse church, and you start checking out different churches, and there's a mega church in your area, and that church looks good on the outside, but as you step into it, you start finding out that the church is actually still like a regular evangelical church. It's still a white church with conservative values that don't necessarily reflect you, don't necessarily understand what your socioeconomic background was like, doesn't align with you. And so you say, well, I'm going to go to this church, check it out. But the more you get into it, you realize it's not really meshing up with you. It's not reflective of maybe your big worldview, Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit. Maybe you agree there. But when it comes to your cultural values, when it comes to the nuance of how it's choosing to communicate, or just flat flat out who they will or won't endorse politically, those types of things, it's completely disconnected with you. And their staff doesn't have any people of color. And you have the opportunity to go to that establishment, which is big and comfortable and cushy, or you can go and plant a small church with some people that you know come from your background and they love Jesus. And instead of it being 1,000-person church with a nice air-conditioned auditorium, you go and you rent out a little small school and it starts as a Bible study. And then before you know it, it starts taking off and you just go grassroots with it. Okay, that is the difference that I would say someone who is trying to sidestep is they're just going to go this way instead of saying, yeah, I'm just going to join this. And this can be cool. And sometimes these big establishments and these big mega churches have diverse leadership and they have a great heart, but more often than not, they don't. And it's not a knock on the church. It's not a knock on those types of churches. It's just that evangelicalism and right-wing Trump-supporting politics is very in bed right now. That is who elected this president. And I don't really care where you fall politically. I'm politically probably as agnostic as you can get. But if you look at what's happening, for example, at Liberty University with the backlash that they're getting, the type of speakers they're bringing in, hyper-conservative, very insensitive, very lacking of empathy, and making those students at Liberty University, a Christian university, go to these, they call them convocations or something like that, and they have to sit and listen through these different speakers. They're bringing in just people that I don't even know if they're Christian as much as they're conservative and they're Republican. And so you have to know that if you're a conservative Republican, that's fine. If you voted for Donald Trump, whatever. But when you are going to have a genre that's predominantly made up of black and brown artists and a community of fans that may not reflect that demographic, you may have people that step outside of that because of the cultural attention, because of some of the goofy, weirdo DMs that y'all be sending. And they just say, man, I'd just rather not deal with this. I don't want to deal with them people. I'm going to go over here. We're going to do our own little grassroots thing and we're going to build it up. And so I tip my hat to guys like Toby Nwigwe who've operated outside of it. He's unapologetic of his faith. He seems to, really be solid in terms of what they're doing. I don't know him too well. We FaceTimed a couple times, but he seems like a solid dude, man. So salute to him. So don't look down your nose. Don't judge somebody because they're choosing to sidestep or maybe they're pulling back or whatever. I love this community. I have no problem with people referring to me as a Christian rapper or whatever. I'm over that debate. However, I am sensitive and I am aware that that title can limit people. So understand the difference, understand what we're talking about, and search your own heart. Search your own heart. As I'm closing, I want you guys to consider, have you idolized CHH? Have you put it in a place that it's not supposed to go? Have you put it in a place that the equivalent of a church? Because it's not a church. These rappers, these Christian rappers are not your pastors. They're not your elders. You're not your deacons. I'm going to keep telling you guys that. Some of them are pastors in local churches, and they are accountable to those local congregations and those local elder boards, and that's fantastic. But don't be looking for people to disciple you through music. You need to be feeding yourself. You're going and you're talking about, I'm not fed, this doesn't have enough depth, it's not Christocentric enough, they don't talk about Jesus enough. You need to feed yourself. And if you want to listen to music to turn up and jump around and bounce to, and Reach does that for you, awesome. If you want to hear something more Christ-centered and theological, and Bizzle and those guys, and God Over Money and Dayton, they do that for you, praise God. But we got to stop with this critical ear and critical eye of people we don't know. We don't know most of these people in real life, man. So anyway, I try to keep that as brief as possible. Hopefully that didn't upset you too much. I want to keep the conversation going down below in the comments section. Let me know what you think. Do you guys feel me? Am I crazy? Leave a comment, thumbs up if you liked the video. Maybe share it with somebody. What would you like me to talk about next on my next video? Love you guys. Thank you so much. Peace.